Good morning, guys. So, since I'm not here today to be able to go over some social studies test taking tips for you, I decided to go ahead and make a video. Now, the first thing I want to say is that there will be questions on the test covering information that we haven't covered this year, and that's okay. The main goal with social studies is to test what you've learned over your years in school. So it may be something that we talked about last year or something that you learned in elementary school. So just do your best, take your time, and follow these strategies. So first of all, make sure that you understand the parts of an item. First, we have the question stem. So this is the question that you have to find the answer to. There's also the prompt. There's distractors in the question, answers, and then the actual answer. So obviously, your goal is to find the best answer of the possible answers that are given. The right answer's there, you just have to find it. Here's another example of a type of question. We have the question stem, again, what is actually being asked. You have a prompt, which gives you a little extra information to be able to add to the question stem to help you get to the actual answer. You have distractors and the true answer. Sometimes all you get is the question stem. You don't get a prompt, you don't get a chart or a graph or a map, and you just have to use your prior knowledge to help you figure out what the true answer is. So here, why did the Anti-Federalists demand that a Bill of Rights be added to the U.S. Constitution? You look at the answers, because there is no prompt here, and figure out which ones are distractors. A, B, and C are distractors. And the correct answer here is D, to protect individual freedoms from the federal government. These are examples of question stems. The one that has 5 next to it. Which statement best describes a major impact that Bill Gates has had on U.S. business and technology? Another question stem could be this quote. Well, the prompt here is the proclamation by President Andrew Jackson, and then the stem, next to number 9, says, the proclamation excerpted above was issued during which of these historical events? So you look at the prompt, then you look at the stem, and you figure out what the best answer is. So the question about Bill Gates is a cause and effect question, a major impact, and the question with the quote from President Andrew Jackson, you need to make sure you find where the key words and phrases are at. A few more question stems. Sometimes you're given a date, and make sure that you pay attention to the dates that are being given because the dates are important. So here in this quote from Abigail Adams to John Adams, the key is the date, the Battle of Yorktown or the end of the Revolutionary War. So to which of the following is Abigail Adams referring to in this excerpt? Or in the quote below, what is the main idea of the reading equality and desegregation is the main idea. And we see that the date is 1954. And so that date would have been happening around the time when we had civil rights issues in America. All right, sometimes the question stem is going to ask you for characterizations, and then it's going to give you some information. The Roaring Twenties were characterized by limited government interference in business, prices determined by supply and demand, private owners receive the profits. And then your question stem is, which type of economy is best described by these characteristics? So you take what you know about the Roaring Twenties, and you take what you know about the economy to help you get to the right answer. So make sure you're using all of the context clues that you possibly can to help you answer each question. Use the information that the people who wrote the test give you. Give the information that you know, use the information that you know from what we've learned in class, and then make your best answer choices. So there are several different kinds of prompts. Sometimes there'll be a reading, an excerpt, a quote or a primary source, a bulleted list like we saw about the Roaring Twenties. Sometimes it'll be secondary sources, people who weren't actually there but who are writing information about a historical event. Sometimes it'll be sequenced information like a timeline. Sometimes you'll be given a chart or a graph to look at. Sometimes you'll be given an image, a painting or a photo, or a political cartoon to look at and analyze. Sometimes you'll be given graphics and you'll need to figure out what information is missing from the graphics. There'll be maps and other different kinds of graphics. So in the second half of this little lecture, we're going to talk about a couple strategies for taking the test. First of all, be prepared to read. READ is an acronym here. Read the entire prompt, question stem, and distractors. Before you jump into an answer, make sure you have all of the information. E, examine what you already know about the topic. You guys are smart. You know the information. So examine what you already know about the topic. A, adopt a strategy that will lead you to an answer. We're going to look at a couple strategies in just a moment. And D, decide on the best answer and double check the letter, because sometimes the letters will be A, B, C, D, and sometimes the letters for the answer choices will be G, E, F, J. So make sure that you're picking the right letter that goes with the question. And always remember, you don't have to rush. Take a breath when you get to each new question. You also want to make sure that you're having an internal dialogue with yourself. Don't just rush through the questions. Think. Take your time. So, internal dialogue questions you must have with each item. What is the STEM question? What is the STEM asking? What is the question asking you to figure out? What information does the prompt supply? So, is there a chart, a graph, a quote? What information does that give you? What information do you already know about the topic? What information can you bring from your knowledge of history to help you arrive at the right answer? Then, what is the best or correct answer? Avoid those traps, avoid those pitfalls, avoid the distractors, and make sure you read all the answers so that you can get to the best or correct answer. And if you don't recognize the correct answer, how can you make the best choice possible? So we're going to look at 5 strategies that will help you for taking a test when you're unsure of the correct answer. So, strategy number 1, cover up the distractor answers, or cover up all the answers. So, you're allowed to have blank sheets of paper with you while you're taking the test. So cover up all the answers first and look at the information that is given to you. Look at the prompt, quote, chart, graph, map, whatever, and look at the question, the STEM question, and use your knowledge to figure out what you think is the best answer before you look at the answers that are given to you. So cover up all the answers with a blank sheet of paper. Before you look at the answer, study the STEM and the prompt, and then have a dialogue with yourself. What does the question want from you? What do you know? What is the prompt? So for this particular question, you might be asking yourself, what is a corridor? What are the responsibilities of the Arizona Game and Fish Department? Is this about movement? So take what you know and think about what you think the best answer should be, and then look for that answer. So here we have a qualifier. It says most likely. So there could be multiple logical choices. You have to think through what you think is going to be the best answer. All right. Strategy number 2. If I don't know what it is, what is it not? So here's a question. As a result of the Oregon Treaty, the United States achieved its goal of F, G, H, J. There's your answers. So first of all, where's Oregon? Use your brain and create a visual map. There's a map of the United States. You know where Oregon is on the map. Then start crossing out the, not actually crossing them out, but in your mind, cross out the ones that don't make sense. Obviously, Oregon is not in the southwest part of the United States, so we're going to eliminate that answer. Next, it wasn't on the southern border of our country because Oregon is not in the south. So now you've eliminated it to 2 answer choices. So what goal sounds most logical? Expanding westward to the Pacific Ocean or reserving a Western treaty for the American Indians? Then we can eliminate one more answer and center on F as being the best answer. All right, our next strategy is ranking possible answers. So you look at the question stem, which of the following was the result of the Kansas-Nebraska Act of 1854, and you're going to create a ranking system, however you want it to be. Pluses could be a good choice. Plus or minus means, I can't rule it out, it might work. Minus and plus, probably not, but maybe. And all negatives, not a possible answer choice. So if we were to take these answer choices and rank them, we would see that the result of the Kansas-Nebraska Act of 1854 is that fighting broke out between pro-slavery and anti-slavery groups in Kansas. That would be a way of ranking answers. Of course, you should create your own answer ranking key. You don't have to use the one that's referenced in this PowerPoint. This is just a suggestion. All right, strategy number 4, brain dump. Write down on your scrap paper everything you know about the topic or the words that you see. So here's something that we could write down. President Monroe was an early president. A doctrine is a policy or idea. Then you start an internal dialogue between what you know and what the answer choices are. Here could be some of the things that you might say to yourself about the question, which of these best summarizes the Monroe Doctrine? As a policy, we never discouraged immigration to the United States. F says the immigration of Europeans to the United States must be discouraged. America didn't do that. G, international peace can be maintained without complicated alliances. That sounds familiar, but Washington said no alliances. This one says complicated alliances. Next, the power to nullify federal laws is necessary to preserve sovereignty. This is a nullification question, so the Monroe Doctrine didn't have anything to do with nullification. So we can eliminate that answer. And J, further colonization of the Americas by European countries is prohibited. Now, that's something we would find important, and that's actually the correct answer here. So you have a little internal dialogue with yourself to help you eliminate the incorrect answers or the distractors and help you narrow down the correct answer. All right, last strategy here is keywords or phrases. So you want to look for the keywords and phrases which might hold a key to the question. What do you know about these words? So we have a prompt here, and it says atomic bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And what was the main effect of the event as reported in this headline? And we can rank that on the side. Atomic bombs were how World War II in the Pacific ended. And then we can arrive at answer J. World War II ended with Japan surrendering to the Allies. All right, one more example of keywords here. Look for keywords and phrases that might hold the key to the answer to the question, and what do you know about those words? So, the primary goal of the American Temperance Society was to. Temperance. What does temperance mean? And what would the society want? 7th graders, you know the answer to this. We just learned about it. Temperance has to do with not drinking alcohol. So, A, ban the spread of slavery to new territories. Not a good answer. B, decrease the consumption of alcohol. Seems logical, but let's read all of the answers. C, gain the release of mentally ill people from prison. Probably not. And D, create a self-sufficient utopian society. That doesn't sound like a good choice either. So after we have read all of the answer choices, we can go back and choose B, decrease the consumption of alcohol. All right, quick recap here. Take your time. There is no rush. There's no prize for being the first person to finish the test. 2, read all the parts of the question, the prompt, the question stem, all the answer choices. Engage in an internal dialogue with yourself. Think about what the question is asking you and look at the answer choices and talk to yourself about them. Eliminate the ones that are not good choices. Watch for traps and always remember to check your work. You guys are going to do great on the test. I am excited for you, and just remember to do these things, and I will see you soon.